What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Friday. Right now, the start of 2 hours nonstop MLB DFS conversation, taking you straight up the lock. It is a big boy slate, not messing around. Just the two of us, myself, Kirkwood, a.k.a. Kirk Dees, a.k.a. Leader of the Juggalos, a.k.a. Kid Yahoo, a.k.a. host of the Tournament Takes podcast, which is going down this Saturday. Let's go ahead and tell the people. Let's give them the plug. Yourself and Bobby Gomes. Going to be talking some football. A lot of podcasts out there.
I think you and I have the longest podcast going. I think
on the RG network.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Yeah,
I know. Carty's. I think Carty has the Blitz too. That may have been around the same time too, but I feel like that was done a year later, but maybe not. Anyway,
Blitz, by the way, being recorded and posted Fridays this year. Just a heads up, we found that out yesterday. I was not aware of that, at least. So typically it was Saturday in previous years. Now it's Friday. The Blitz is up. If you guys have any premium members, go ahead and get it. I've not heard it just yet, but I presume it's Will. Is it Blender and Carty? I'm not sure. I've not heard it just yet. Definitely Carty's going to be there, but do check out the Blitz if you guys are premium members. Certainly worth giving a listen to. All right. Oh, Alex Dunlap. Yeah, I assume he is back. There you go. Thank you. For some reason, I was forgetting his name. My apologies to Alex. All right. Let's talk about tonight's slate, Kirkwood. Oh, we got to mention it's Friday. What does that mean? That means it's Freebie Friday. And what's interesting is Freebie Friday, we're giving away a piece of content that's most useful on Saturday. But it's not going to expire tomorrow. Like, it's going to be around tomorrow as well. It'll be available for you to use. The college football expert survey is going to be free. I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat for the people. Do you grind much college football, Kirkwood? I know the season just started.
I can't in Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We can't even bet on our own college. I can't bet on the BC games, anything. And we're not allowed. I don't think we're allowed to have college player props. I think we don't get. I think we can't bet on any Massachusetts team, and then we have no DFS.
Well, that's it gives you more time to concentrate on baseball and more time to concentrate on the NFL. And like you said, like we said, the podcast Tournament Takes podcast that is going down tomorrow. Yourself and Bobby Gomes will be live on Sunday morning 9:30. Myself, Bobby Gomes. Tasteful Tides, Tim, the People's Show. Bind4 is going to follow us. Squirrel Patrol is going to follow us. Neil's going to follow us. It's a loaded crew. I think TJ is taking y'all home. I've not officially seen the schedule, but from 9:30 in the morning until lock, 1 o'clock as far as kickoff, and we'll all be tilting red zone at about 107 East Coast, give or take. That's the over under. All right. Wild slate tonight for baseball because 12 games, a lot of good pitchers here, Kirkwood. I'm really curious to pick your brain on this. It's hard not to play a good pitcher. There's a big opportunity cost. The American League Cy Young winner, put it in stone, give him the trophy. Skubal, he's throwing baseballs tonight, taking on Oakland, great ballpark, big price tag on FanDuel, $12K. It's tough to make that work. You can, but it's tough. You don't necessarily have to because, again, you could step down to a lot of other options. Zach Wheeler taking on the Marlins, who are horrendous. Michael King has got an awesome strikeout matchup. Framber Valdez taking on Arizona. By the way, Ketel Marte, no official lineup just yet. Listen, just dropped as the show went live. Ketel Marte off the IL, so I assume he is in the lineup today. Corey Lee was just scratched for those that care. Most don't. He's not good at baseball. That's the catcher for the White Sox, right? I think so. Yes. Pretty sure that's Corey Lee. Yeah, they're in Fenway today. Boots on the ground. Speaking of Pavetta.
Big dew over here.
Is it? You got a big dew today?
It is humid as all hell.
Well, what's weird is humid is good for the ball to travel, right? I don't want to speak. This is not my lane, but I thought Weather Edge was telling me that it's bad weather for baseball. Yeah, 62 is the dew. 130 previous games and a hit.
The wind's blowing in a little bit.
8 miles per hour, and it's kind of cold, 68. So I guess the combination of those three factors slight hit as far as homers, slight hit as far as runs. So yeah, and we'll dig into it. We'll talk about it. But the White Sox, one of the most punchless teams in the league. I think they're dead last in ISO. I want to say they're dead last in ISO, only behind Texas. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Texas is the only team. Texas is the team right in front of them. We'll talk about Texas later, who's going to be more popular than most teams, possibly the most popular team. And without Corey Seager in their lineup, he's on the IL. They're the second lowest ISO. So interesting conversation we'll have as far as chalky Texas. But again, they're probably the best matchup. And there's a ton of good pitchers throwing baseballs tonight, and none of them certainly not starting against Texas tonight. I didn't run them all down, like Max Fried. Gausman's still pretty good, a little bit disappointing. Pavetta, Sean Manaea, who's been on fire of late. There's just a ton of good pitchers. Oh, Cole Reagans. Cole Reagans is spectacular. Chucky Robinson, by the way, jumping in the lineup there for Corey Lee. Change everything.
Big Chucky.
Well, I don't know. It's a good baseball name. I don't think he's very good though, for what it's worth. Give me the screenshot here, because this is like arms, right? It feels like an arms slate. Certainly, I shouldn't say certainly, but baseball happens, and one team's going to break out and score double digits. I would assume. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have 4 homers. They can just get there via doubles and walks and things like that. But how do you see this slate? Because I think there's a lot of paths to go as far as pitching. My pool is like 8 guys that I'm willing to play. I think 7 or 8, depending on. I only make a couple lineups, so generally I keep it pretty tight. But I'm flexible as far as this slate when it comes to the pitchers, because so many are good. But hitting is pretty tricky. We'll talk about that later when it comes to our stacks. What about yourself, Kirk? What, you see it the same way? Do you love something? Am I missing something? Give me the overview before we start talking about some pitchers.
I mean, the overview is there's 8 million paths to go tonight, because we have a lot of decent pitching, a couple of spots that are really worth attacking, but for the most part, it's pretty decent. And then we don't have like a ton of cheap pitching. I had to do salary savers for pitching, so I have some ideas for going down cheap and getting some more bats. But I mean, seems like there's a lot of opportunity cost there. But and there's a lot of risk in. So I mean, these pitchers. So like we have like expensive chalk like Pavetta and Manaea, like they're not cheap. I mean there's a lot of variance in those two pitchers in general, but Manaea has actually has been coming on a lot better and has done some work with his arm angle, apparently, if you research, and he's throwing like some of the best baseball he's ever thrown in his last couple starts.
The Pavetta thing is interesting because the wind blowing in matters for him, and facing a team that doesn't have a lot of power matters for him. Because, he's been unlucky as far as home run the fly ball stuff this season, in part because he's getting barreled pretty hard, in part probably because of his ballpark as well. But 15.6% home run the fly ball, allowing 1.84 homers per 9, a lot of fly balls too, right? A 3.3 Sierra despite a 4.53 ERA. Also, let's see, the barrels are 10.3%. The Ks are really good, 29.3% also. So I like Pavetta. He's in my pool of acceptable pitchers for sure. It's probably a matter of like, maybe I'll make my lineups and be like, okay, which 2 pitchers fit amongst these 6 or 7? I might kind of work backwards. Like a lot of times I say, okay, these are the pitchers I want. I'll just kind of figure it out from there. Reagans versus Minnesota I don't think he's going to get played much at all, but I believe it's going to be all right-handers. Do we have a Minnesota lineup? Is it out just yet? I got to give it a refresh. I'm expecting a bunch of right-handers against Reagans, and we know he's kind of reverse splitsy, or is reverse splitsy. Yeah. On the season, pretty drastic as far as his strikeouts. 20.6% against lefties, but almost 32% against righties. And the projected lineup for Minnesota, we know they like to do their left-right stuff, and they don't care about reverse splits guys, and they don't acknowledge it. We're given 9 righties. Now it's contact righties for what it's worth.
Yeah, they're a bunch of contact righties thing, but it could go either way for sure. And it's also, I mean, it doesn't have the most intimidating projected. Did the actual starting lineup come in?
I don't see it. It's not in play
so
IQ.
the projected lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about guys like Santana's having a good season, and Royce Lewis is unbelievable. But like Miranda has not been the best bat. Like Kyle Farmer is not someone who's really scary. Brooks Lee, Austin Martin, Vasquez, one of the Hellman's mayonnaise children is projected to be in the 9-hole here. We'll see.
So I'm finding the Santana thing is wild. How good he's been this year versus lefties. You mentioned him having a good season. He doesn't have enough plate appearances to qualify, but he's got a 312 ISO. And if he did, if that was enough, if we're going to say that's enough, amongst those, the 140 plate appearances, his ISO would be 5th highest in baseball versus lefties, right behind Kyle Tucker, who, by the way, Kyle Tucker is back in our lives. He's in the Houston lineup tonight. He was dealing with the world's worst bone bruise, and that put him out for like several months, but he is back for Houston. I also saw, this is small sample stuff, Kirkwood, but I was curious, like Reagan's against Minnesota. He's had 16 innings against them this season and 24 strikeouts. So, like, he has compiled a bunch of strikeouts versus Minnesota, despite the fact I know this lineup is pretty contact heavy. The projected lineup, it's not officially dropped on us. We did just get the A's for what it's worth. Butler, Rooker, Langoliers, Blade. Oh, they flipped those two, huh? Nevin, Cameron, Geloff, Schumann, and Wilson. And we always talk about Oakland, the drastic drop-off basically after the 4-hitter. It's like two different worlds there. The front half pretty good, the back half pretty rough. That is Oakland's lineup. Did we say hello?
Did you?
Go ahead.
Yeah, and also, what's up to Juggalo Nation? Juggalo Nation should always be addressed in chat. Did you win any money last night on the football game? Did you bet? Were you on the right side?
I bet Worthy and Rice over on their receiving props and over on their adjusted line. And my thought process is, like, worst case scenario, I'm going to chop this. I figure one of these guys is going to break loose. And I had Worthy just barely got over his number, didn't get there as far as alt lines, but that's W. And I had Rice over like 60, 80, and 100. So it was beautiful. I think we had a 4-1 on over 100 yards. We had Kansas City as well.
Yes, that was great, wasn't that?
I mean, the
guy who loves the Orioles that I talk about.
I'm guessing. Well, that's why you asked me.
Who do you think his football team? Who do you think his NFL team is?
So you didn't really care if I actually won money last night. All this was a ruse just to take a shot at the guy watching.
No, I wanted to know. I wanted to know if you mushed anything. I wanted to know if it was that kind of a night. But
can I victory lap my best ball teams? Can I victory lap that?
Best ball, we can't go there. But
my number one tight end in best ball, ownership wise,
likely.
I say likely. Yeah. So continue.
You're victory lapping that after week 1.
Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to victory lap at the end. I got to get it out of the way. This is the added value. I'm probably not going to win.
Colin, he's not a Baltimore fan. Yeah, I won too. I had KC. That was a great win. And I took advantage of boosts where I had to do parlays, and I hit all the parlay. I just did Pacheco to score, Henry to score, and Chiefs for the 3-man, and smashed those. So it was a good night.
I should shout out to producer Steve, by the way. Producer Steve right now is the leader of the squad ride. He had over Rice receptions 4.5, or I think it was 5.5. He had over 5.5. He's on a bit of a streak. I think he's got at least 2 W's in a row. But tonight I'm going against him, unfortunately. I think he's on Green Bay with the squad, and I already have shares. I'm already invested in Philly this evening, so
yeah, I think so. I am too.
That's where I'm at. We'll see.
We've got a stacked weekend, so we've got. So we do have some. I think I'm going back to one of those. You remember last year I talked about the Iowa. Their games are so low scoring, and then you just tease them.
They scored a bunch. At least their first game. I don't know. Did they play against nobody? I'm not really sure. But their offense supposedly got better, but I guess it couldn't get worse. But yes, there was over-unders with Iowa. There was 27 or something.
It was the most general. I figured out, and I gave it to a couple of my friends, and we loved it. It was the most general. And I said it. I even gave it out on one of our shows. It was the most generational betting opportunity ever. Like if we could go back in time, I should have rounded up everybody for the Iowa, whoever was playing Iowa minus the points, and then on the tees, and then won the over. It was just so ridiculous. It was incredible. But anyway, we got that. We got UFC tomorrow night. I've got some big bets already going down there.
I got to slide in the DMs.
Yeah, or you gotta listen to the Tournament Takes Pod, because I'll give them out on there. So then we got NFL going strong. I got to cram for more NFL stuff tonight, but action-packed weekend we're gonna have.
It's gonna be a lot of sports. Did the Spidey Bomb sit yesterday asking in chat, is there an NFL Showdown show tonight? Yes. I want to say, I don't know the exact time. Maybe producer Steve can let us know. Pretty sure Chop is back doing the show, maybe around 7:30, 7:45 or so. Once again, there is a Showdown slate. Almost got there in Showdown. You know how the Showdown works. Whatever the nut number was, I was half a point off it, and you make a little bit of money, but you don't even come close. And I think it was a really chalky lineup too. So I did a bad job with lineup construction.
Shout out to Bobby Gomes. He had a big night, and also
he did.
So a good start for the good mojo to come into the pod.
Yeah, I don't know if he dropped a screenshot or nothing. He just told me privately, so that's why I didn't say it.
Of course he dropped it. Kid couldn't wait to drop a screenshot. Yeah.
I think he won over 20K or something like that.
30K. He probably won over 20 something.
Yeah, so congrats to there it is. Congrats to Bobby Gomes. Bobby Showdown is back. All right. Hit the like button, by the way, if you guys are hanging out in chat. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. I don't know how many likes we need to get the Juggalo bombs, or maybe you could tease the people, wet the whistle, give them just one MMA pick. There's your Costco apple juice. Only 3,000 more bottles to go before that. You gotta.
No, we're almost out. I gotta go. I gotta go back and pick up more cases.
How many did you knock out of those in a day? How much apple juice can one person drink?
I probably drink 4 of these a day.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. By the way, we did get Minnesota. Looks like they did drop a lefty on us. Well, hold on. Is Julian? No, Julian's a righty, isn't he? No, Santana, Lewis,
or unless
Miranda.
He's a switch hitter, he's a lefty.
Yeah, I think he is a lefty. Santana, Lewis, Miranda, Wallner, Farmer, Martin, Vasquez, Larnach. Who he's a lefty too, isn't he? I think he's a lefty.
We got a great question from J3. How many likes to live stream a Costco run shirtless? I don't know how long I would last in there. I tried to sneak Phil in there before, and there was a lady who wasn't having it, and Lauren was pregnant at the time, and I was like, "You're gonna make my wife walk all the way back to the car when we couldn't find a parking spot for miles," and it was bad.
At least you didn't leave Phil in the car. I hope you didn't do that.
Phil, she went in there with him.
Okay. You got to crank the AC up. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. I very brief part of my life. I worked in Costco very, very briefly. You ever been in Costco 7:00 in the morning before that place opens?
Never.
Selling phones.
I've been there right before the opening. I've been there at 9 or 10 before. It usually opens at 10, but they had the senior hour over COVID where they were letting people come in early. Senior citizens.
That's a good. I forgot that was a thing. Yeah, that was a. I don't. Is that something that they've kept going forward?
You're not. You. When was the last? You never have woken up before 9 o'clock unless you're still up.
I'm waking up before 9 o'clock on Sunday. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's it. You're not going to Costco. That's for damn sure.
I want my extra hour.
Maybe a little celebration after. But
it depends on the day. We'll see how things go. You can't really commit necessarily. You don't want to cross anything off the board. Speaking of crossing off the board, pitchers. There's a whole bunch throwing baseballs. It's hard to throw. I guess there's some we could definitely cross out. Right? There's some it's just not happening. We're not going to be playing them at all. But what is your pool whittled down to? I assume you're probably only making one main lineup tonight. That's typically what you do. Feel free to tell me otherwise. But are you similar to me? Skewball currently 30% ownership. Wheeler 24% ownership. It's pretty kind of flat, I guess, considering. But just because there's so many good ones, they're going to kind of eat off each other as far as the ownership. Manaya at 20%, Pavetta at 20, Michael King at 15. Do we have a Sam Fran lineup? Because I was looking at their strikeouts. It's pretty juicy. As far as the San Francisco projected strikeouts, 27.5% is the projected lineup. We don't have the official lineup just yet, but yeah, and King against righties almost 33%. We are projecting like 5 lefties or so, but I think King is pretty interesting also. And just again, there's just so many. This is why I don't really want to punt. I think you can, but I don't want to. I'm just prioritizing pitchers and just kind of figuring it out. And I feel like I can find, homers and singles or whatever easier than I can find the cheap pitcher that does really well. That's kind of where I'm at. Reagan's only 14%. Framber Valdez just kind of buried in the slate. He's really good. Taking on Arizona. We did mention Ketel Marte. I presume he's going to be back in that lineup tonight because he was just activated. The cheapie is probably Mitch Spence against Detroit. He's just cheap enough, 6.6K. He's, big ballpark. Probably doesn't win because he's facing Skewball. Not that you need those 1 points. You kind of want him. If it's not Spence, it's probably Dean Kramer of the your favorite team, the Baltimore Orioles, taking on Tampa. Of course, Tampa, they offer a fair bit of strikeouts these days. Let's check out that lineup as far as Tampa against Baltimore today. I assume there are some Ks to be had. Yeah, outside of Diaz, DeLuca's in there too at 20%, Walls at 22%, Diaz leading off at 17%, but collectively 24.6%. Kramer last time got hit on the wrist, took a line drive. That's why his start was kind of cut short, but I presume he is fine. I think it was the forearm, if you want to get all technical as far as the body parts. That's the cheapie, right? It's either Kramer or Spence. Do you have a take on that? Do you have a lean, or do you just not even care because we're just going to pay? We're going to pay up for 2 good ones and just not bother with the cheapies.
I do have a lean. So Spence is my guy. Number one, I think he's just the safest. So if you're looking for a value pitcher, he's the guy. It's basically more about the matchup. His arsenal is not sexy at all. He does not throw heat, but he does have a good slider, a good cutter, and then mixes in like a sinker curve. But it's all slower stuff. But he should fare pretty well against this Detroit lineup in that park. I think, their Tigers are 5th in K percentage active roster. And so you can give him a bump to Ks, and they're not that dangerous. So this is definitely a good spot for him. I could see him throwing up a good game. So I like him. And then I also have another cheapie that I don't think is going to be owned at all. Let me just double check. So
Spence and Kramer are the only ones who are going to kind of be owned. I don't think anybody else is as far as
I like going back to Zebby.
Oh, he's not going to be owned. He's definitely not going to be owned.
He is good. He is actually he's a strikeout pitcher. He's got all the tools. I like his talent. And he got annihilated in his last start against Toronto, but it happens. He's young. Yeah, it happens. Like, people have a bad night. But the talent is still there. And so if you look at it, so he comes in with a 3.62 Sierra, but a 7.41 ERA. What does that tell you? He's a better strikeout pitcher than he's shown yet, but a 95 mile per hour heater, slider, cutter, and the slider and cutter are really good.
Great control so far. I'll give you that.
And he's dominant against right-handed batters. And there's no real, without Vinny P, there's no real lefties in the Royals lineup that I really fear. It's not a huge strikeout lineup, but I think he could pull off a really big game. But so they'll have Melendez batting 4th, lefty. Michael Massey is also a lefty, and then Kyle Isbell. So it's nobody I fear in there. So, and if you just check out his stuff to right, righty's batting. I have a 0.65 ISO against him.
Well, it's 17 innings. The samples are small.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, he got blown up, and it was to lefties. But this kid has all the talent in the world, and he's totally I think it's a mistake. I think this is a this is a great opportunity on a slate. No one is going to play him, and he could be the difference maker tonight because he is much better than he's shown.
See, I think I'm just like not going to play Kansas City, but like I don't make. If you have one main lineup, what are the odds Zebby's in there? Like I suppose if he had $25 in Yahoo, I'd
probably use him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think he's going to be okay too. But I'm just like not playing KC. I don't think I'm playing Zebby. But I hear you. It's a fair. He's obviously not as bad as he was. It's impossible to be as bad as he was last time, giving up 9 runs in 2 innings. He got absolutely shellacked. He got hammered out there. A lot of homers too, right? I think it's homer and the fly ball stuff a little bit wonky, and a lot of it is small sample stuff. Yeah, Ketel Marte officially back, by the way, leading off for Arizona. Corbin Carroll batting second. Grichuk, Walker. So yeah, we have Marte and Walker, 1 and 1A as far as the 2 best hitters for Arizona. Suarez, McCarthy, Newman, Perdomo, and
I'll be right back.
I guess we could say Carroll is also in that conversation of. Carroll hit 11 homers last month. So he started bolstered his career, or at least his season. All right. Well, we'll get Kirkwood coming back in here shortly. I did see somebody asking about umpire stuff. I'm giving a refresh on Lineup HQ, but again, typical. We're starting a brand new series. You start a brand new series. The umpires, they're not 100% certain, but the stuff we have, as of right now, there are only a few extremes. Extreme pitchers umpire for Kramer. Extreme pitchers umpire Bill Miller, who's known as historically one of the best pitchers umpires. He's calling the game for Max Fried, who, by the way, Max Fried is throwing baseballs tonight. Did we even mention that? We didn't. Not picking on him, but also probably not rostering Max Fried. If I'm running 150, sure, let's have the conversation. I'm not running 150, so very, very likely that I'm not getting to Fried. Kramer, Fried, Shane Baz, Gausman, those guys in the other side of the Atlanta game, the other side of the Baltimore game. Also, Kirkwood, I see you're back. Your boy, I don't know if you know this or not, your boy Zebby has an extreme pitchers umpire. He's got Brennan Miller. Is Brennan Miller related to Bill Miller? I don't know who Brennan Miller is. I one of those names, like usually you kind of see the umpire names. Is that a new umpire that I'm not aware of? But there you go. Zebby has an extreme pitchers umpire as well, as does Cole Hamels to bury the lead. That was my bold call today in the expert survey, Kirkwood, that Cole Hamels strikes out 10. Cole Hamels, he's going to strike out 0. Cole Reagans is going to strike out 10. Bet the under on Cole Hamels if you can find.
I like Reagans.
Hoosier saying Banners is asking if I got a bad haircut. No, I did not get a bad haircut. I got no haircut, so my hair is a mess. I just need a haircut. It's too long and it's troublesome. So that's why we're wearing the hat these days. Kirkwood usually gives people the business for wearing the hat, but for some reason he did not come at me just yet.
No, you have hair.
Well, jeez. It is. I have too much of it right now. Got to get rid of it.
It's only the guys that only wear a hat. Everything. If they're at a pool party, they're sitting in the shallow end wearing a hat. If they're playing basketball and let's say like an RG game,
you're not naming names or anything, right? You're just saying as a general.
I'm just saying like hypothetically. Yeah. And they play. You ever see? I mean, organized basketball playing a game with a hat on.
I mean, indoors or outdoors.
Indoors.
Crispy is telling me that Steve Carlton is a pitcher's umpire. I did not know Steve
even being a bathroom attendant at the local gentleman's club and wearing a hat.
Well, some people just like a fitted hat. It's just more comfortable for them. It's just fine. Whatever works. Let's see. By the way, again, if you guys are joining late, did want to mention I dropped it earlier. I'll drop it again. Free Friday. The freebie today is our I was dropping. I copied and pasted Bobby Gomes. I just dropped that in chat too. There you go. Bobby getting the bump in the YouTube chat. Give him some love for his 30K takedown. But somewhere I have a link to the college football survey, which I'll go ahead and drop. And I don't know how this worked out, but UCF got the love. They got the picture. The greatest team, former national champs and, the best team in Florida. Quite possibly. At least they're better than the Gators, and they're better than Florida State, most likely. The U might have found themselves a quarterback. That Ward guy looks pretty good, at least in one game. He looked pretty spectacular. All right. Anything else as far as pitchers we want to point out? There's a lot. By the way, do we mention Zach Wheeler? We mentioned Wheeler, right? Do you have a definitive
Okay, so here, I'll just run down the pool.
Give me the rundown.
Scooball, is Cy Young winner. Nothing bad to say about him. So play him. Great matchup too. You got Wheeler, who is in Miami. Another great matchup. You got Pivetta for a little cheaper versus strikeout upside. Also much more risk, even though it's the White Sox, who are not. They are dog water, complete and utter dog water. So Pivetta, you got to like. Manaya is in play for me. King is in play for me. And then the two cheapies. And you could, this just shows you have so many other pitchers. Like, I like Reagan's too. I like exactly how your analysis of that. I agree completely. It's total boom bust for him, and I think he'll probably boom. And then Framber. Like, there's just a lot of really good, like, decent pitchers. There's Fried, but the cheapies for me are Zebby and Spence. I'm telling you, man, he may get rocked again, but
my issue is, like,
at this ownership,
how necessary it is. Like, I think he's going to be fine. I just don't know how necessary it is.
At this ownership, it could be very necessary. It could be incredible. This could be the play. This could be the play that they write about you. They
will write it about you. You were first. I would just be tailing. But the thing is like, you're talking ownership. Just play the pitchers you like. I mean, Scooball is going to be 30%, and he should be.
Yeah, but he's cheap, and I like it. Out of all the other
cheap DK, he's cheap. FanDuel is 12.
All the other cheap, different there. And all the other cheap guys, I like. Betty would be the other one too. And he hasn't looked quite the same in his new digs with the Cardinals, and he hasn't pitched very well. But it's Seattle, and you gotta give him a boost in strikeout potential.
The counterpoint is this kind of like what I'm saying is that, like, you're talking ownership, and of course ownership does matter. But if you like Reagan's, he's gonna be less than 20% most likely. If you like King, 20%. If you like Manaya, he's gonna be 20%. There's too many that almost ownership doesn't matter because they're all gonna sort of cannibalize each other. So they're all probably gonna be pretty good. And I shouldn't say all, but most of them will be at least pretty good, I think. And a few will probably separate. Okay. Anything else as far as pitchers?
No.
Being told in chat by Jake. Jake's telling me that Brennan Miller is Bill Miller's son. It's funny because they're both. I was Googling about Brennan Miller and you see like him, like, this is him screwing up here. This is him screwing up there. I'm like,
let me teach my son how to become the worst umpire.
See, son, when it hits the dirt, that's a strike. Don't. I don't care what anybody else says.
See, son, you just go up there, guess, and then you just stand by it. And if they talk, you throw them out.
Hopefully, they don't replace you one day with technology.
You blink your eyes and you can't see it. Don't worry, just make a conviction call.
So nepotism is real in umpires too. Apparently, I mean, maybe Brennan Miller's qualified. I don't know.
Does Angel have any sons? Does Angel have any children?
I don't know. We don't. Yeah, it's funny. Like, people are like, oh, Andrew Hernandez is gone. We solved it. No, there's still some bad umpires. It's not like it's over. There's still plenty of shaky umpires. Oh, the chat's they're asking for. Can you possibly summon Chop? J3 is asking. Can we get Chop's BBP suggestion of the day? Is that possible? We can do that. Do you have access to Chop? Will he respond to you?
Hold on,
you don't do it right to second, but at some point during the show, I don't want to. But you think, I don't know if we have a BBP suggestion, and if he has knockers too, I don't know.
He's not in there right now. I'm looking.
He's not in the secret chat.
Yeah, I'll fire one off.
All right. Well, let's see.
He's going to say no. He's going to say it's. Well, actually, did he do extra plays?
I don't think so. No, I was on there, and I'm pretty sure he's not in the survey. I would have saw his name. Yeah. No. But what you're saying he's going to do whatever. He's going to do whatever the algorithm tells him, right?
But he's not going to. He's trying to get ready for a showdown right now.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. but maybe we can find something here on the fly. Like, I don't know.
They're on tonight. They're on tonight. I don't know who's going to be with him, but
it's only like 4 guys that have 2 home runs against their opposing pitcher, and one of them's Nick Ahmed, which is kind of funny. Nick Ahmed's 4 for 5 with 2 homers. So you will know if Dave Roberts is a BBP guy if Nick Ahmed cracks the lineup for the Dodgers. Is he even on the team right now? I think he is, but I'm not certain. But if he starts, that's Dave Roberts saying that I'm a BBP guy. But he probably doesn't start, I'm guessing. Adam Duvall has got 2 homers.
Actually, Matthew Boyd is looking good too. All of a sudden.
Oh, come on, stop it! But it's so unnecessary. Why? He might be okay.
6 innings, 8 Ks in his last start.
But I mean, like, okay, there's 24 guys throwing baseballs. Where are you going to rank them? 17th?
Dean, none of these guys are bulletproof going on.
Well, no, of course not. But like, if we're gonna have a draft, before, and we're gonna who's gonna have the most fantasy points. Matthew Boyd is going. He's one of the last guys picked, right?
I don't know.
I think so. We can just name everybody. Okay, we are going to get to our. What do you got?
I just heard from Chop.
And Adam Duvall.
He said, "You're not going to believe this, but it's Brent Rooker."
Well, why wouldn't we believe that?
Because
it's against Scooball.
Tough matchup against Scooball, yeah.
Well, the thing is, see, this is why who am I to question Chop's algorithm? But Scooball was once like not very good. Remember when he first came to the league, he was his bigger prospect and he scuffled.
I mean, he was inconsistent. Yeah. He always had flashes of brilliance, but he definitely had a problem with the long ball. But he was like Boyd's understudy, like a little bit for a little while.
Yeah, he figured it out, and maybe that stuff happened in Coors, right? Wasn't Rooker on? Am I making this up? Wasn't he in the Rockies? I feel like that happened. Could be making that up. Doesn't matter. But he does have a couple homers against them, and good for him. But that's also an example of how players change. And now, Scooball, if you ask Aaron Judge flat out said it. Scooball is the best pitcher in baseball. So don't really want to pick
Oakland Knockers. It says
he's got Oakland Knockers.
That's what Don Easy said.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Anytime I hear Knockers, it makes me smile.
Well, you got to do more shows with Chop. Do want to mention about the RG Premium? No giveaway today as far as actual a week free. We do it throughout the week depending on the day. Fleet Thursday, maybe Monday, Wheel Wednesday. But you can get yourself RG Premium. Never a better time because, NFL, I'm sure you've heard, it's starting. It's already started last night. Fun game. Get yourself 6 months. Commit to 6 months. That would cover the entire NFL season of premium. You also get, football, baseball, basketball, hockey. Hockey's 1 month away as well. I forgot. The season just sneaks up on you, especially when you win the Stanley Cup because you were just playing a couple months ago.
I'm not a hockey fan.
Yeah, that's a bad take by you. Like, I don't know how it's bad take. You don't have to love it, or it's like you can only dedicate so much time. But it's a blast. You ever go to an actual hockey game? The elevation from TV.
I've been to a game. I've been to Stanley Cup Finals. Believe it or not.
Yeah, but the tickets were wasted on you. It sounds like you didn't even enjoy it.
Absolutely, they were. I took my nephew. He
didn't appreciate it.
He loved it. My nephew loved it. No, I mean it's actually and also getting right in the first row on the glass is great experience.
Oh well, that's a humble brag. I've never had those before. That's pretty. Yeah. You were at the Stanley Cup Finals on the glass and you didn't.
No.
Oh, what a waste.
No. These are 2 separate events.
Oh, okay, I got you. Do you want to mention? Yeah, I was in the middle of doing the promo. Got sidetracked there. 6 months. Quit the 6 months. You get yourself $250 off the top. Commit to 6 months as opposed to going month by month, and you commit to 1 month, $40 off. Get the links here in the description if you want to get some RG Premium. You see all the fancy tools we're showing off. Can't show them off there with the lineup HQ. We're always talking about the plate IQ. You get Dave Potts, the best article in the business, the musings, Monday through Friday. All the goods. Too many bells, too many whistles to mention. 3 days. You want 3 days? Give it a shot. By the way, time that right. 3 days. You get yourself college. You get yourself NFL. If you're signing up right now, give it a taste. $19 and change. Also, access to SimLabs. SimLabs, if you're not aware, SimLabs is also available now. via mobile, if that's your thing, if you're on the go, on the run, as opposed to using your desktop. SimLabs, you can use it on your phone. And DK Pick 6, if you're not aware, DK Pick 6, we have a Firefox extension to help you out if you have RG Premium to take down some American dollars on the DK Pick 6 streets. So we're sticking with the football theme this week as far as the board, as far as the tiers. We're going to rank our teams here in just a second. And in no way is this overreactionary or nothing like that. I would never be hyperbolic after one game, Kirkwood. But just kind of players we're bullish on, players we're bearish on after, the NFL, upcoming NFL season. There was a football game played last night, Kansas City and Baltimore, which, by the way, Baltimore was going to go for 2. I thought that was interesting. We were robbed of a 2-point. If you're hoping for some overtime, I don't know if you saw, but they were going for 2 points. I guess on the road.
Yeah, no, I thought I was absolutely dead. So I had the -2. I had Chiefs -2.5 last night. And
you would have been dead because
I know. I was like, this is horrible, and I thought he was a touchdown. So then they went to the toe, and it was like, that gif, not so fast. The college football
Lee Corso.
Yeah.
Or I'm thinking like Denzel, like just like he's exhaling, right?
Yeah.
All right, but today's board is just again not reactionary at all. We're going to go ahead and reveal that. Tell me who you're bullish on, who you're bearish on with the upcoming season. And J3, by the way, saying Cheese's musings are amazing. They are very, very good. Definitely worth. He makes baseball like fun and interesting, to read about, which is hard to do 5 days a week. What of a kind of swing for Likely. Spectacular night last night, but right before he scored that touchdown, or didn't score the touchdown, the toe, but he was knocked out. Like, I shouldn't say knocked out. Like, his shoulder was. I was like, oh,
his
boy.
hand.
He's going to the locker room.
It looked like a wrist or something to me, but
he was holding some things, and I was like, oh, this is not good. Now he says he's had this breakout game on national TV, spectacular, and now is he going to be out for months? And I guess he's fine. He came back and played. I think he missed one play, and he came back in, caught the touchdown, and then it wasn't a touchdown because his feet are too big, unfortunately. All right, so number one on our board. Let's go ahead and give that.
You know what that means?
Big shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Big RG socks, I guess. Not going to overreact, but this is what we have. We have Isaiah Likely right there in the top spot. Rashee Rice, awesome game last night. Tons of looks his way. Looks spectacular in that Kansas City offense. Xavier Worthy, I'm not sure if you've heard this before, Kirkwood. He's the fastest player ever to play in the NFL.
I found that out yesterday.
That's everything. That's all people say about him. But like, he's a burner. He's a speedster. He's a lot of fun. Didn't get a lot of touches or looks, kind of like H-N-esque, I suppose. But when he gets it, like you say, he's electric.
He's going to be the guy that he's going to be the H-Chain.
Yeah, that's
kind of everyone's going to talk about volume like week in and week out, and it's unsustainable. And he's going to keep ripping tutties to the house.
Derek Henry, the big dog, did get in the end zone, but like
it was. I'd say both teams looked good. The Chiefs look like that. Their offense is going to be amazing this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that's the first week, Pacheco looked good. That run was sick there, where he was on the guy's back.
Kelsey might be a little toast.
Yeah, maybe, but I think they're saving him too at the same time. So I think he might end up with the Kittle treatment this season.
Henry's in the 4 spot, and Mark Andrews, didn't look spectacular. He was out there a fair bit. Producer Steve is telling us that Kelsey is dust. They are, I think.
I'll tell you what, though, he looks good. He went to STL Cards' barber, the same barber, and he got a new.
Which one, Kelsey or Andrews?
Kelsey. Anyone?
He said his haircut.
You didn't see his haircut?
I saw the stash. I don't know if I saw his head without a
fun fact: he and STL Cards, same barber.
All right, they got a 2-for-1 deal, the two of them.
No,
I got to see a picture of it now. Now I'm curious. We do have to move on because we have 12 teams, 12 games, 24 teams. We have to power rank the very first one on the board here, Kirkwood. Got to be a little bit more efficient with our words because, again, 24 teams, the Rays, the Orioles, Crunch time coming in about 30 minutes. So we do have time. 30 minutes with crunch time. I believe it's Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. Derek Carty. So we have Carty and Potts, and of course, chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. I should mention weather-wise, the one that was dicey was Pittsburgh. We don't care about Pittsburgh. That is not on our slate. It's currently orange-yellow that has been updated as far as our slate, as far as the main slate. It's yellow in Atlanta, and otherwise not much else eventful. He does have a green in Boston. Temperatures in the 60s, winds in from center at slightly less than 10 miles per hour. So there is a bump to the pitchers in Boston, according to Roth. Okay, let's get a move on. Talking about hitters, talking about stacks. First game, Rays, Orioles, Dean Kramer, Shane Baz. Where are you at as far as Tampa and Baltimore? Baltimore is the favorite here. Almost a 5 total, one of the bigger totals on the board. A lot of good pitching out there. 4.7 if you want to get up precise and technical. What do you got for me, Kirkwood?
Yeah, so I think Baz is a pretty good pitcher, big talent, starting to get in the groove a little bit here. So, and the Orioles, obviously they've been a lot less potent the second half of the season, but against these bad teams, they've been running it up. So I think there's a lot of upside here, like with Gunnar, with Adley, Santander. So I think let's put them in the second from the top.
Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice. And Dean Kramer. I don't know how much better Dean Kramer is than Dean Shavelson on the mound. I'm gonna say that.
It's
right
a lot
now.
better, I promise you. Yeah, I was never a good pitcher. It wasn't my prowess. Yeah. I
feel like Tampa's gonna go off tonight. They stink, right? But like
they kind of stink these days.
No
Morel, by the way, who's also been struggling.
Yeah, and did I see Dylan Carlson batting cleanup with his
in the year
0.073 ISO?
I'll tell you, I like Kevin Roth as a one-off.
Yeah,
he is legit.
He's a beast. And Josh
2.9 on FanDuel, really good price on FanDuel. He's cash game playable.
I'll put them in the middle. I may be reaching a little bit here, but I'll put them in the Xavier Worthy. It would not shock me if they go off tonight.
All right. Yeah, I guess we'll just accept that. I'm not going to fight you. That's fine. Okay. White Sox, Red Sox, 8.5. We just talked about the weather here being more conducive for pitching than it is for hitting. And the White Sox aren't good when in neutral conditions or even positive conditions because they have historically, I wrote today in the survey, like this is the worst team in the century. And I'm probably rounding down we could stretch back even further. The worst team that we've seen.
You know what? It's got to be tough to be a White Sox now. I'll say this really quickly, but they went from thinking they were going to be the best team in baseball with Robert
Eloy,
Moncada was supposed to be good, Eloy, and this pitching and the old New York Mets pitching staff, right? With Harvey, when the Mets were they were Thor.
Matt Harvey was a White Sox? I forget.
No, but I'm saying the Mets were. Remember, they were that same kind of they had 5 legitimate up and coming.
It up as this team looks good. Going, you would have bought shares. You would have bought some stock.
Everybody, and now it's just over, and the worst team in history.
And they have a terrible farm system, and they have a terrible owner. It's none of it's good. None of it. It's a big old
put them in the bottom. I think Pavetta has a good start, and I think Pavetta goes. They're going to need him to go deep. The Red Sox bullpen is trash. That's the only thing. But
dog water.
Yeah, dog water. But I like the Red Sox in the top tonight.
Does the weather not bother you at all? You're just fine
humid.
with it?
It's fine. It's not cold outside by any means, and it's so humid. The ball is going to fly.
It's funny. Somebody said in chat earlier, you could tell Dean's from Florida because it's 68. It's cool. 68 is kind of cool to me. But I'm not from the Northeast. I know it's not freezing, of course, but that's ideal, by the way. If you can build a bear, if you can build a weather condition, that's the perfect, breezy and 68, right? Is that not perfect? San Diego, maybe.
And no dew.
Boston all the way at the top. They have a 5.4 total, so
I think they're gonna
rip.
They're gonna rip tonight. And I'm normally not big on them lately. I've been betting against them lately.
Yeah,
but like they got Duran, Devers, lefty. They like the lineup looks good. They got Costas coming in the 6th. Like overall, this line, they got Rafaela. They got Rafaela playing. Like this is a good lineup tonight.
All right. Speaking of Florida, the Marlins are home against the Phillies. They have a team total sub 3, 2.77. Big time favorite, Zach Wheeler, minus 225 in Miami, 7 total. The Phillies are getting most of that projected total. They got a 4.22 because they're facing Edward Cabrera. He's kind of up and down, but they also have Schwarber and Harper and Turner, Castellanos. They just put Alec Boehm as went on the IL today. Just their lineup took a slight hit, not playing baseball tonight. But yeah, where do we have the Phillies and the Marlins?
It's the same story with Edward Cabrera. He's decent. He's got a lot of the tools to be successful. It's more about he can mow down any team if his location is if he's throwing strikes. Unfortunately, he has a 12.6% walk rate where he's not throwing a lot of strikes, and it gets him into a ton of trouble. And he also gives up the home run ball. His home run to fly ball is 21.5%.
In Miami,
yeah, it's crazy. And what is Philly has some guys that can hit a lot of home runs. So I think I don't think there's a ton of upside to play him. It's he's catching them without Bohm, which is nice, but I still side. Schwarber is as hot as can be right now. You got to expect he's going yard tonight. I mean, so he's Juggalo bomb number 1.
Well, there you go. He's like minus 250 or something. Like you're not getting any odds on that.
I don't care what the odds are. He's hitting a home run. I don't care.
Plus, I shouldn't say minus 250. He's definitely not minus 250. Nobody's ever minus, but still, there's not a lot of value in his homer if you're betting it. People like the homer picks, but did we get enough likes for that? Hit that like button for the deep cut, the Kyle Schwarber homer tonight. Let's move on. JC Mormuto getting a shout out in the chat. Revenge game. We totally slept on the Benintendi revenge in Boston. That didn't end well in Boston, right? I feel like
it doesn't matter. Well. It doesn't matter. He stinks.
Yeah.
I mean, you could play him for cheap. I mean, it's fine. Like Pavetta can give up. I mean, he could take a yard.
He's added a little bit of more power this year, but he's not somebody that we're obviously terribly excited about. Mets are home tonight to Cincinnati. This, of course, is a positive pitching environment. Minaya has been awesome of late, racking up a bunch of Ks. Fernando Cruz. He's a lot of Ks for Cruz, but he's only going to go like 2 or 3 innings or so. And who's the guy that's expected behind him? Is it Williamson? He's another guy who has a lot of strikeouts too that we've seen. Do you have the long man for? Oh, TK showing Jacob Junis. I guess we don't know because I saw somebody else earlier in the day. But either way, Mets are home taking on I guess it's a bullpen game. Let's just say it's a bullpen game for the Reds. That's what it is. Cruz expected to start, taking on Sean Manaea. Mets are favored minus 185, but just a 7.5 total. Nothing really to get thrilled about. I don't really like bullpen games to pick on offensively, but certainly you can always play Mr. Smile, Lindor, the Polar Bear, Vientos at batting third. There's some legit hitters in this Mets team. Where are you at as far as the Reds and New York?
Yeah, the Reds are Derek Henry. It's a tough ballpark. It's only reason you play them is like that. They are pretty potent at times, and they will run the bases, so they could hit homers and run the bases. But so there is upside. But Manaea has been so good. I told you he changed his arm angle, and supposedly that's made all the difference. He's coming off of 3 straight starts in a row against Baltimore, Arizona, where he put up 32 DK points. He had 11 Ks against the Diamondbacks, who are notorious for not striking out. Just goes to show you when somebody's on, they can mow down any lineup. And he is that way. So I like Manaea a lot in this spot against the Reds. The Reds do strike out. They're kind of I think they're 20th in WRC plus versus lefties. Good park. Mets offense, man, I'm not too excited. So I'd probably put him down to Xavier Worthy.
By the way, I'm sorry, I didn't catch much of that. I was scrambling because apparently Austin Kitchen is a person who throws baseballs for a living, and he's going to be doing it for the Marlins tonight. I did not see that. don't know when that happened. Somebody mentioned it in chat, and I'm just doing like a search here.
Yeah, I didn't see it either, but I haven't
on Twitter. And it looks like Fish on First, one of the Marlins accounts, not official account, but yeah, it looks like they're talking about Austin Kitchen will be starting, and I got to do a bit of a dive on who he is. We like 5 innings.
Is he is Cabrera scratched, or is he doing it? Is it an opener situation?
I think it's just going to be Austin Kitchen because he went 5. Well, no, yeah, it might be an opener situation. Yeah, okay, he's been pitching out of the pen. 1 1/3.
I mean, it would make sense. It would make sense. Is he a lefty?
Past the lefties? He must be a lefty, right?
Yeah. Harper,
the Marlins that sharp. Yeah, he's a lefty
against Cabrera, who gives up bombs. So obviously, taking out a first at bat with Schwarber and Harper.
Slight hit to Philadelphia, because Kitchen tougher at bat for Schwarber, tougher at bat for Harper, and then maybe we have some lefties backloaded as well. Marsh, and I saw people in chat talking about Clemens, but yeah, that's probably the case. That's probably what's going to happen. An inning or two, if nothing else, Schwarber and Harper, and then we'll see Cabrera come in. He can't dodge him forever, but okay, good note. Toronto taking out Atlanta 7.5 total. Gausman, Max Fried, 2 pitchers by their standards, probably a little bit down years, but certainly respectable. Certainly not pitchers I'm going out of my way to pick on. 7.5 is the total. Atlanta, pretty big favorite, despite completely flopping on us last night. Some would say they were gutless after last night if they bet him or had him in DFS. I don't know if some did, but I certainly did. Whit Merrifield batting second, by the way. Harris, Merrifield, Ozuna, Olsen, Soler, Darno, Kelnick, Arcia, Urshela. All right. They're saying, does that mean we fade Cabrera? Well, I don't know if we were never really on Cabrera, right? I wasn't on Cabrera. I would say that slightly makes his a little bit better because he has the lineup he faces is going to be like 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4 as opposed to the start.
Wow, Mr. Richard was on Cabrera.
I wasn't on him, but it makes it a little bit easier for him.
He had strikeout upside at weaker lineup, we said, because of Bone, but yeah, I wasn't pitching him. I like for the cheapies. I get it. It could work out, but I'm telling you, man, it's going to be Zebby tonight.
Give me your thoughts here as far as Atlanta and Toronto offensively.
Toronto, you can put in the bottom again, and Mark Andrews for me. They probably they're a little bit better. Maybe they deserve treatment to be in Derrick Henry, but man, Fried just doesn't give up much, even in a year where he hasn't been great. I mean, you look, he gives up to right. He's a .077 ISO, and in this current season, and a .138 ISO versus lefties. I mean, you're not getting much damage with him usually.
Slew of ground balls.
Yeah. So I'd put them at the bottom if you want to put them just because of Vlad and Springer and top of their lineup. Up one, I wouldn't argue it, but up there.
Bill Miller also there too.
Yeah. Atlanta, not crazy about picking on Gausman either. I know it's better, but I just think there's better spots tonight. And Gausman had a pretty decent start in his last one against Minnesota. Yeah. Put the Braves right next to Derrick Henry.
Braves and Derrick Henry, huh? Yeah, I'm not really on it. I'm not really on it. Like when you bat Whit Merrifield second, you can only be so high. you can't get much higher than maybe like Xavier Worthy, maybe. But for those that care, Pittsburgh.
Let me check the weather there too.
Rained out.
It's pretty humid there. That could give it a bump.
So Roth did have a write-up on it. Let me just refresh and see if something changed. The rain is all fairly light, and we could be getting a little break right after first pitch that could help us well. If I'm being honest, I'm always at least mildly concerned about steady to light rain, but typically teams figure out a way to just play in the rain and get it done. So there might be some some light rain that's not strong enough you can just kind of play through. That's why Roth is seeing that. Again, cross out Washington, Pittsburgh if you're playing, I don't know, a showdown slate or something at 6:40. They're not playing baseball tonight. Okay, moving on. We have more games to go here, Kirkwood. The Angels taking on the Rangers. The Rangers, these are real live pitchers. Gerson Garabito taking on Sam Aldegari. Aldegari, of course, pitches for the Angels, and Garabito, of course, pitches for the Rangers. 9 total. No Corey Seager. I think that's a big hit for this Texas lineup. You got Foscue, who's really, really cheap, and he's buried down the 9 hole. Semien, Langford, Young, Garcia, Lau. It's not great. Fabian's also really, really cheap too there for Texas. I was, looking at their current roster, and they have the second lowest ISO in all of baseball. And they're going to be popular. I think I'm going to be like off the board by not playing Texas. I'm sure I'll have some, but my main lineup, I'm going to try and avoid playing Texas. And they beat me, so be it. Where do you have the Angels in Texas?
Man, I have Texas up top just because Aldegari showed nothing in his first start against Seattle. I mean, no strikeout with ability whatsoever. He had a okay slider, but his fastball was awful, horrible command. I don't like him whatsoever. So I think Texas is going to go off. I don't care if they have Seager. I know it's a hit, but other guys are cheaper, and I think this is a good spot to get runs. I don't like the ownership though.
That's sort of my take.
Yeah. So they probably should be up there in the top. So I'll let you decide either Likely or Rice.
I think we should put him in Rice. Yeah, if you want to play him, by all means, play him. By the way, Cabrera was just scratched, so full-on bullpen game for the Marlins, unless there's somebody else I'm not aware of existing. But yeah, Kitchen will draw the start. Would you rather roster Austin Kitchen or David Kitchen tonight, if you had to pick one?
I don't know David Kitchen very well, but I do know he's athletic. He was good. He was good at basketball. So
did he wear a hat when he played? That's the most important thing.
He may have, but it may have been like backwards with like hair coming out of it. So
all right.
I don't remember. Like that's totally different.
Angels and Worthy, is that correct?
Hold on. Hypothetically, if the other person I was talking about actually put a hat backwards and it had like the strap for the hair to come out and you could see, or for where you could see if it was bald, then that would be fine. That would be fine by me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Glad you approve how other people wear their hats. Okay. Let's move on. I think we still have like 6 games, so we do have to get a move on. Brandon Pfaadt taking on Framber Valdez. Houston is back. At least they have Tucker back tonight. Altuve, Jordan, Yadier Diaz batting third, Tucker batting fourth. We're doing the left-right thing.
Seriously? I like Angels. I think actually now that I'm looking at it, I think this Angels-Texas game is like a perfect game stack game.
I kind of like the Angels too, which is not something I feel comfortable saying. Ward, I'm good with. I mean, but again, Rendon batting cleanup. Like, get out of town. How serious can we take this baseball team?
Somebody from who called the last show I did? What was that, Monday maybe, or no, maybe it was yesterday, and I was just watching. Somebody called in the chat Ammoniac Homer last night. Yesterday,
somebody did. Was that you, or I don't know if you're being?
No, it wasn't me. I'm not me.
They put up like a 10 spot on the Dodgers, and the Dodgers didn't show up. Did you not put the Angels in Worthy? That was just what Steve did, and you kind of kept them there. We didn't say anything about it.
I think that's fine. I like the game stack though.
Houston, Arizona. So yeah, both these teams getting pieces back. Kyle Tucker's been out, I feel like, several months now with that bone bruise, and Gonzalo Marte is leading off.
Let's not waste everyone's time. Although they're 2 good offenses, they're also 2 good pitchers. So let's keep them down low and pick up the time. No,
I think Framber's better than Pfaadt, but you don't have Houston. I wouldn't be Houston and Worthy. No, not in Worthy.
Yeah, you can put him in Worthy.
And Framber is similar to Fried.
I think Pfaadt is pretty good. I think he's going to turn out to be good.
He's all right. Yeah. I agree with where the board is right now. We can move on. Your boy, Zebby Matthews, taking on Cole Reagan's pitcher's duel. 7.5 is the total. KC's favored -135, which it kind of speaks to Vegas sort of supporting Zebby, right? Despite the fact to get absolutely shellacked, to get his face punched in. Cole Reagan's one of the better pitchers in baseball, only a -135 favorite here. Sure, Minnesota's offense is, I suppose, better than KC these days with the absence of Vinny P. You got Bobby Witt and a bunch of his friends who aren't that great at baseball. And Yulitsky Gurriel is also playing baseball for the Royals. So Desperate times. Where do we have the Royals and the Twins?
I mean, you want lefties against Zebby, and they don't have many. There would be Massey and Melendez, and I don't quite like either of them that much in general. I'm fine if you want to play them, but I'm telling you, man, Zebby's going off tonight. So
Greatest Zebby to ever play baseball, by the way. It's not even it's indisputable. Not even a conversation.
Yeah.
Do you know how old Yuli Gurriel is?
We thought about naming my son Zebby, but we didn't.
Oh, didn't make the cut?
Didn't make the final cut. No.
I feel like you pushed for it, and then your wife was like, what else you got?
Yeah, exactly. I still can't believe she turned down Kirkwood. You know what I mean?
Like, that was a good call.
That was an opportunity to really.
It's a good call by her. Very, very sharp. How old is Yulieski Gurriel?
How old is he?
Yeah, he's a man.
Yeah. Is he playing tonight?
Yes, he's playing baseball for the Royals. You missed that part when I said it.
Oh, he is. Yeah. No, okay, batting 7th. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yulieski Gurriel. Remember him?
Yeah.
He's 40.
2.2K. I would consider that.
He's 40 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost Top's age.
Kirkwood also being suggested in chat. You could have got the Costco too.
Electric. That's another electric name. I like that.
Okay. We have the Mariners and the Cardinals. Eric Fedde taking on Bryce Miller. Another 7.5 total, kind of a pitcher's.
So wait, where did we put the Royals or
in Worthy? We got him in Worthy. We have the Twins. Wait a second. Why the Twins are Rashee Rice? That's too high. They got to go down to like Derek Henry. Right? If that, maybe we're rounding up. I'm not playing Minnesota tonight. You can have them if you want.
Yeah, no, I'm not playing either of them. Although, like, you can play Witt. Like, I'm totally fine with whatever lineup you can afford Witt. Go for it.
We got 4 games, and the crunch time's coming on like 5-ish, 6-ish minutes, give or take, depending on when they knock on the door. So that's why I was kind of rushing this portion of the show. Seattle Cardinals. This is one of those, like, I don't want any pitching and I don't want any hitting in this game. And I'm hoping it goes like 3-2 and a lot of ground outs and pop-ups. You tell me otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much interest in this game, to be honest with you, besides the big dumper.
Sure. Yeah, you can always take the big dumper. So Mariners, Cardinals, where do you want to place them?
Mariners and Derek Henry. Cardinals and Derek Henry.
With the big dog, Detroit in Oakland, spacious ballpark. Tarek Skubal, best pitcher in all of baseball. Some would say. Certainly the American League Cy Young winner. Lock it up. Give him the trophy. Mitch Spence on the other side. Again, 7 total, barely a 3 total for Oakland. This is another one where, hitting probably not happen a bunch. You tell me. Where do we have Detroit and Oakland?
Yeah, I don't have an interest in either of these offenses. Although, obviously, Detroit has a better chance that I would say of getting to Spence. Spence is my cheapie. I think he's going to be just fine in this matchup. But like guards like Parker Meadows at the top of the order there is okay. And like if you really need a cheap back, Jace Young is there batting, should be in the batting 5th at 2.6K. So, I mean, I'll put.
Are you going to stack the Youngs? Stack the Young brothers?
You can, absolutely. Cash.
They're both in play.
Totally cash viable.
By the way, the chat.
Put Oakland in the bat, even though Chop likes the EVP play. Brent Rooker. Put them in the bottom. Put them in the bottom. Mark Andrews, and then put Derek. Give the Tigers Derek Henry.
By the way, I'm being challenged here in chat. I said that Zebby, the greatest Zebby of all time. They're telling me Zebby Zavala. That was Sebi. That was Sebi Zavala, the pitcher for the White Sox. So I don't think I did a Google search. Apparently his name was technically Bernardo Sebastian Zavala, which I did not know that. And I guess Sebastian, his middle name was shortened to Sebi Zavala. But no, he wasn't a pitcher. He was a catcher, right? I think he was a catcher. And I believe he's no longer playing baseball, at least not in the majors. Maybe he's out there still doing his thing. All right, San Fran in San Diego. You're not going to believe this. Another low total game. All the way up to 8, though. It's got an 8 because Mike King really good. Mason Black does not look spectacular. This Giants lineup is a plethora of guys. that are strikeout candidates. You tell me. We have the newly really, really rich. Well, he was already rich, doing well for himself. But Matt Chapman just signed himself a 5-year, like 150 extension. So good for him. Congratulations. Don't kind of get it for San Fran, but again, good for Matt Chapman and his agents. Where are we having the Giants and the Padres on the board? Still just one team all the way up top with Isaiah Likely.
Black is okay. He's got a really good four-seam fastball, and he's got a good sweeper, and that is all he has. It worked against Miami. I don't think it's working tonight against the Padres, but San Fran has some decent bullpen arms to make this kind of interesting, and they're gutless, but like the pricing on the Padres makes it pretty easy to play nice stacks with these guys. Tatis isn't too expensive. Araz is there, whatever. Machado is kind of expensive, but Cronenworth is kind of cheap. All the way to Jackson, all the way with 6 and 7 with Xander and Jackson Merrill. So I'll put the Padres up and Rashi Rice.
Yeah. And the Giants?
What a Boston homer, right? We're gonna end up leaving the show with only the Boston up top there.
I don't think so. Well, I think there's one more team. Where did you put the Giants? I don't see them on the board just yet. You gotta throw them in the gutter, I suppose.
Michael King's too good. Giants kind of stink. They strike out too much.
They stink.
Put them in Derek Henry.
We did just get the Dodgers, by the way. Yeah, let's throw them in Mark Andrews. Okay. Matthew Boyd taking on Landon Knack. I kind of expected that one of these lefties were going to crack the lineup for LA, and they did. Left on left. They did bury Gavin Lux, but he's in there and he's cheap. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith, Edman, the switch hitter, Rojas, Gavin Lux, Enrique Kike Hernandez taking on Cleveland. No Cleveland lineup just yet. 9 total here. I believe it's also, it's hot. It's hot in LA. It wasn't a big factor on Weather Edge earlier. Maybe we'll give it a refresh. But 89, that's what I'm seeing. Like 89, close to 90 creeping up there as far as the weather. We got the fire emoji. Yeah, 89, a 49 dew, whatever that does for you. And a wind of 5 miles per hour, breeze going out, basically dead center, right center. Where do you have the Dodgers and the Guardians? I think this is another candidate. If you're talking about game stacks, I think this is a potential game stack if you like yourself a game stack.
I hear you. Boyd did look very good, and his command was excellent. He had 8 Ks, but it was the Pirates. But there were a lot of very positive signs. But this is the Dodgers, so who are we kidding? And when they have the platoon against a lefty like Mookie Betts, Freeman can hit anyone, Ohtani can hit anyone. Might make a low-owned Juggalo bomb, courtesy of Bobby Gomes, the Teoscar Hernandez.
I don't know if it's going to be low-owned. I don't know if you're being sarcastic saying that. That was a callback. That was the same player, and I see that. I see what you're doing. Yeah,
but I'm with you
on the survey today.
I mean, let's put the Dodgers up top because they're the Dodgers, and then let's put the Guardians right below them and Rice.
Chat's telling me the Cleveland lineup is out. If it is, I just flat out missed it. Do you see Cleveland? Anything goofy with Cleveland? It's possible I just missed it, but I am not seeing it as of this moment. But we should be getting it momentarily. If not, crunch time will be all over it. They're coming in momentarily, but let's give the old summary. Isaiah Likely, we have Boston and LA. Let's see. Rashee Rice, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Texas, San Diego, Cleveland. Right smack in the middle of the Xavier Worthy, we got Tampa, the Mets, the Angels, Houston, Kansas City. Derek Henry has Detroit, St. Louis, Seattle, Minnesota, Arizona, Atlanta, Cincy. A lot of usual suspects hanging out with with Mark Andrews, who's potentially dusty, at least for one night. The White Sox, the Marlins, the A's, the Giants, and the Blue Jays. All right. We have crunch time coming in momentarily. Derek Carty, Dave Potts, Kevin Roth. Let's do it. Let's bring in crunch time. Reminder, this is a Freebie Friday. You guys are joining us just right now. You missed it earlier. Now, usually we give you a tool or something content for Friday. It was best used on Saturday because tomorrow is college football. The college football expert survey is free. I'll go ahead and drop that in chat momentarily. Roth, happy Friday. How are things?
Things are good. Thank you.
Did you have to forecast like 1,000 college football games? Is this the worst?
It is the worst. I don't do it until very, very early Saturday morning because otherwise I just literally 30 times write chance for rain, chance for rain, chance for rain. Because I don't know like 24 hours in advance. I can maybe know about the 825 games by tomorrow, but probably not.
Check back on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Derek, how did the Blitz show go today? I know you guys are recording now on Fridays. I've not had a chance to listen to it, but I'm excited to do so. How did it go?
Yeah, I think it went well. I mean, I'm excited football's here. First night of NFL last night was awesome and shaping up to be a good slate this weekend, I think.
There's like 272 games in an NFL season. We might have saw the best one last night or top 5 on the Family Feud board. It was pretty good. It was a fun ending. Highs and lows for Isaiah Likely. Touchdown, hurts, scores touchdown, retracted. He's got a toe. It's a little bit too big, unfortunately. But that was good times for sure. Kirkwood, anything else before you step aside to make way for crunch time?
No, I just wanted to thank Dave for his great stat that he came up with. He dug and found out about the Ravens. And I am in a secret chat with a obnoxious Orioles and Ravens fan. And so I took a screenshot of that and I posted that in there today. So
it's glorious. I mean, numbers don't lie. They are literally the worst team in the NFL.
So I said it's just the numbers. Just the numbers, man. That's it.
I do like New England fan calling other fans obnoxious. I appreciate that.
I know it's personal. I'm not obnoxious. Most obnoxious thing I've done is every time Roth has a weather night impact, I'll throw his tweet up there, his video.
Roth's gonna block you one of these days, man.
No.
Have you ever been tempted, Roth, to give Kirkwood the block?
No, Kirkwood's hilarious. I approve of all the shenanigans. Honestly, I'm cool with it.
It's all in good fun. It's good fun.
All right, hit that like button, subscribe, don't go anywhere. Showdown slate. Again, we mentioned it last night. Showdown was good times. Let's say the Brazil game is like 9:00 local time, 8:15 or so East Coast time. So that will be on as well. If you guys are in the Showdown streets, Shop will be on, I think, around 7:40, give or take. Anyways, it's crunch time. Roth, take it away.
It is. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz. I got Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood in the house. Cheese, I missed this wonderful statistic. Please enlighten me and let me know how you're doing today.
I'm doing amazing. I mean, it's not really a statistic. It's just simply pointing out an obvious fact, an unarguable mathematical fact that the Baltimore Ravens are the worst team in the NFL, dead last place. There are 31 teams ahead of them, and they are last.
By a lot. By an infinite amount.
The worst is the worst. And there's nothing you can say about it.
There's no doubt about that. That is a fact. How you doing today, Cheese? You excited? We got NFL back. You got baseball still going. How you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. This is like the hardest slate we've had all year, I think.
Really?
I don't remember every slate all year, but this is a really hard slate. And I'm not also trying to do football. I imagine it's even harder. So there's a lot going on. And I kind of love the slate, but like I don't have any idea who's in any of my lineups, and none of them seem great.
I kind of love that. I feel like that's when we have the greatest success is when that happens. So I'm looking forward to going through that. Also, you mentioned a lot going on. Dean put the Freebie Friday in the chat, which is our college football expert survey. It's in the YouTube chat right now, and it is usually premium and it is free. So if you are grinding those college football streets, make sure you give that a click. We got my guy Derek Carty. Speaking of busy, we got the bet, we got the blitz, we got everything going on. Carty, how are you?
Don't forget, you got to take time to do your hair. Like there's a lot going on.
You got the custom shampoo. There is a lot.
Yeah, it's a whole process.
Yeah.
You had to pick out which striped shirt to wear. You look fantastic.
How many buttons? You got to figure out how many buttons.
Yeah, it's there's a science to it.
Yeah, understandable. You said it was a good start for the blitz last night.
Oh, yeah.
You were high on likely. I guess that means on Rice and likely.
Yeah, I mean, lots of users were taking down tournaments or finishing high in them. Prop bets were fantastic.
Let's go.
A really good night.
Very good. That is a good way to start the season. Of course, you got another game tonight in Brazil. No weather concerns, in case you're curious, and I'm sure the blitz has everything that people need. You want to like sell it real quick to the people? Be like, hey, we're winning over here. Sign up like this.
The blitz is really good. It's like the bad X for football, and football's softer than MLB. It counts for all the things you want to account for the most part. It's done really well. Historically, people win. It's great.
There you go. That is a pretty good sale. You didn't like oversell it. You just these are the facts. Get in or don't. It's your loss if you don't. That's the way to tell people. I need to remind myself not to click all the chalk players on week 1 because no one knows what the hell is going to happen on week 1, right? That's the rule, right, Carty?
That is kind of the rule. There's exceptions. There are certain things that we know, but there are a lot of things that we don't know that a lot of people think we do know.
Right. Okay. Don't play the 40% owned jabronis. Don't play the 40% owned jabronis. Okay. I'm just giving myself a little talk. We need to dive into this slate. The only real weather concern all day was in Pittsburgh. And I think those teams just decided like, don't want to deal with it. It's not on the main slate anyways. The game's postponed now for what it's worth. So Cheese, in case you're trying to play that in some season-long stuff, don't do it. You gotta bench those guys. I guess you can't, right? You only get to do it once a week. Is that how it works?
You could. NFBC has Friday lineups as well for hitters only.
Nice.
But nothing that happened in Washington, Pittsburgh is changing my life in any way.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it. And nor will it in ours because it's not on the slate. What is on the slate is Atlanta. They're just going to play through some light sprinkles in Atlanta, and it's not even going to be that many light sprinkles. So do as you will in that game. And then I kind of like I saw Boston was the top tier on the stacks here on the tier list. I like the pitching weather in Boston. I don't know if the pitchers are any good, but weather-wise, temperatures are cool. They're in the 60s. Winds are blowing in gently. Just decent pitching weather, I would say. Okay, with that out of the way, let's dive into the slate. Carty, you want to lead us off?
Sure. So we got pitching on this slate, kind of like most other slates. There's actually good pitching on this slate, though. There's quite a bit of it. The top guy, I think, is probably Tariq Skubal because he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he's facing Oakland in Oakland, and that's a really good matchup. But there are lots of other good guys, too. You have Wheeler in Miami against Miami. You have Michael King against San Francisco. You have Reagans, Pavetta project well. You have Fried and Valdez, who aren't in the best spots but are super talented. Like, there's a lot of pitching on this slate. And then there's even some cheap nonsense you can do, like Dean Kramer, 6'5", or Mitch Spence, 6'6". I'm totally okay with. You could even get super weird and play this Garabito guy for 4K. I don't think you need to on a slate with this much pitching, but like point per dollar wise, he's there.
That's it?
That's it. I listed like half the pitchers on the slate.
I thought you were going to make like a strong case for someone. You just listed a bunch of pitchers.
This isn't the kind of slate where there's a strong case for someone. Like there's, okay. I think in cash optimal, you're probably playing Skubal and Wheeler. But there are lots of other good options that aren't too much worse than them tonight.
Okay.
And it doesn't look like any of them are going to be like overly owned either, where I'm like, oh, this guy's too high owned and everyone's the same. Like ownership looks reasonable too.
Okay. Interesting. This is an interesting slate, like Cheese said. Okay, Cheese. I want your take here pitcher wise. Are you feeling similarly?
Yeah. So like the way Carty said it and the way you kind of responded, like, well, where's the take? That's the problem. That's why it's so hard. Like, it's a ton of awesome pitchers. Skubal and Wheeler are probably the best. They're in great spots and they're like super consistent. Like if you don't care about salary or ownership, I would play Skubal and Wheeler with Michael King third. If there's chalk,
they're not cheap though.
Yeah, they're not cheap. And if there's chalk, I agree. There's not like chalk per se, but those are the highest owned guys. Like there's nothing sneaky about any of them, and you really can't play two of them in most lineups on DK. And on FanDuel, like Skubal and Wheeler are super expensive and kind of block you out of a lot of offense. So on the FanDuel side first, I'm playing more King than Skubal and Wheeler. Like he's $2,000 cheaper than Skubal. And like you can really use that money. The sort of upper mid-tier stuff is Nick Pavetta and Sean Manaea. Pavetta's facing the White Sox, and he's a little cheaper, so I like Pivetta. That's the bulk of the pool on FanDuel. You can go cheaper, but you don't have to. If you get down to Pivetta and Minaya, like you can play most of what you want. DK, like all these guys can't get played. Like I think Valdez and Reagans are the two that get squeezed out of the high end. And I prefer Valdez out of those two. And then I'm also assuming that Pivetta is not considerably more popular than Minaya, but more popular as far as those guys once you get under 9K. So what I'm trying to do is if I'm playing one of Skubal, Wheeler, and King, which I consider to be the chalk, I'm more likely to pair that with Minaya. And if I'm playing Valdez or Reagans, who I think are sneakier, I'll pair that with the more popular Pivetta. At most lineups, you need at least somebody under 9K. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of lineups you need something cheaper, which Derek mentioned a couple guys. Mitch Spence is my preferred salary saver at 6,600. It's fine if you want to play Dean Kremer. Every time I see his name, that's how it's spelled. I mentioned in the musings, and I'll say it again. I'm not playing Zebby Matthews, but like he's going to be a good pitcher. I think he's a good pitcher right now. It's just like we don't need to play a guy against the Royals on this slate. And yeah, also I do have a little bit of this Garabito character. I think he probably goes 4 innings and scores you 10 DraftKings points. And this probably isn't a slate where you get by with that. But if you want to do the 1 through 5 Dodgers or Red Sox or something, you might need him, and then that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. That seems fair. A lot of options. All right. Cheese, let's talk about some of the bats and some of the stacks.
Okay. So the problem here is there's so many good pitchers, and most of the bad pitchers are facing pretty bad teams. When I first opened the slate, I thought I was going to love the Dodgers and the Red Sox. Those were the two teams in the old top tier from the last show.
Yeah.
And I get it, but those are not the teams that I really like with salary factored in. Like, it's really hard to play Duran and Devers and O'Neill or Ohtani, Betts, and Teoscar unless you're playing a 4K guy who's probably going to get beat by 25 points. So I'm pretty far under on the Red Sox and the Dodgers. If there's chalk on this slate, which I'm not sure there is, but it's weird chalk because it's Texas, because they've got a bunch of really cheap batters and no expensive batters, and they're facing probably a bad pitcher and definitely a bad bullpen. Them and the Padres are my two favorite stacks. And then I'm dart throwing all over the place because I really don't love anything. And then we should also point out the Phillies. I like the Phillies fine anyway. I don't really like them more or less with Cabrera being scratched. Like, I kind of wanted them against Cabrera, so I haven't moved them around at all, but they're still very playable.
Okay, Carty, as you look at some of these stacks, are you able to spend up and get those top tier ones? Or are you kind of with Cheese where it looks good, but it's not really tenable?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, Dodgers and Red Sox are great, but they're expensive. If you want good pitching, it's tough to make it work. I don't think they're so far above the rest of the field in terms of projection, though, that, you know, like, you can play other teams. You can play Philly, you can play Seattle, you can play Atlanta, the Guardians, the Angels. Like, it's the kind of slate where everything is just so clumped together. And there's really not a lot to gain in terms of like ownership or even really leverage. It's kind of just like play whoever you want.
Oh, we got the blender quote going on. Okay. You have I'm sorry, I talked over it one more time.
Play whoever you want.
Nice. Nice. Okay, guys, let's go around the horn. We'll talk position by position. Start me off with some catcher talk. Are we going to do this every position? Are we going to do the same thing where we're like, well, there's a lot of plays?
I was just about to say that before we really do the position by position. Yeah. It's really like, if you look across the board, like if you play every day and you look at the projections and then you look at them today, you would be like, where did all the points go? Like, it's just, there's nothing that you have to have. So yes, it is going to be one of those, but we'll try to give you a couple favorites.
I was going to say, it's going to annoy me, but we'll do our best. All right, Carter, you can start us off with catcher.
Normally, it's like, oh, there's a top tier catcher. It's Will Smith and Natalie Rutschman or like whatever. It's kind of just, there's a bunch of guys. Will Smith is the top guy. He's not overly expensive. I mentioned liking the Philly and Seattle stacks. So Realmuto and Cal Raleigh are both good either in those stacks or as one-offs. If you need to save a bit of money, you can do Stevenson against Manaea. You can do Ohapi. Connor Wong or Alvarez are fine, but like really it's just that's what the slate is.
Yeah. All right. Cheese, you got anything else?
Not really. Smith and Raleigh are the two guys that I'm somewhat interested to play on their own. Otherwise, like it really is just a play a catcher in your stack kind of day. If you need to go cheap, I'm mostly doing Alvarez or Naylor or Carson Kelly. Those three are kind of they're fine-ish.
I'm going to be working the mute button pretty heavy with the little kid meltdown. So take me to first, and then Carter, you can follow up from there.
All right. Okay. It's a very different position if you're on FanDuel versus DK. FanDuel, the expensive guys are not expensive, and you can just play Harper, Alonso, Freeman, Josh Naylor, Matt Olson. Like there's no reason to punt first base on FanDuel. On DK, like Ohtani is $7,000. And as we've talked about, like you don't really have $7,000. You're always welcome to play him. But even the next tier down, like are all around the 5K range. My favorites there are Harper, Alonso, and Olson. And then I kind of like Naylor and Cronenworth in the mid fours. But I am doing a lot of punting at first base. We've got this group of guys that the most likely scenario for any of them is like 0 for 2 and then come out of the game. But they all are cheap on a slate where there's not a lot to like, and we need salary, and they could all hit a home run. So Justin Foscue, Nico Cavadas, John Singleton, and then Manzardo and Sean Ewell. I did not end up seeing the Cleveland lineup if Manzardo's in there or not. He is. Okay. So that whole group, my preference is Singleton, followed by Foscue. But just in general, I really don't mind full punting first base on DK only.
Did you mention Aranda?
No, I missed him being in the lineup, actually.
Yeah, he's hitting second for Tampa Bay tonight. He's 2-4, so I think he's
just keep coming.
Yeah, he's probably my preferred cheap guy, and I agree. Like first base kind of sucks tonight. Just full punting it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take it to second base. I will remute myself for perhaps an extended period from there.
We have Ketel Marte back in our lives off the IL, which is nice on FanDuel. Maybe a little more attainable than on DraftKings. He's expensive on both sites, and he's not like so far above everyone else, but you can definitely play him, especially if people miss that he's back. Andres Jimenez, I think, is on DK probably the best like point per dollar guy. He's a high-end guy who only costs 3.9K. I like Jimenez a lot, but you do have Marte, you do have Semien, you do have Bryson Stott, who's very reasonably priced. I mentioned liking Philly stacks. He would be a good part of that for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to like, what else do we got?
Keep looking. You're not going to find anything. But.
I mean, that's kind of like it.
All right, Cheese, you're in agreement.
Even the cheap options, like I'm like, is there a cheap option that I can stomach? Like Nicky Lopez maybe leading off against Pivetta. Brandon Drury against Garabito, but like it's not fun.
Cheese.
Yeah, I mean, like when I said I look at my lineups, so like I can't imagine any of them win. Like I'm paying real American dollars for a lineup with Brandon Drury in it. Like I don't know what's happening. I will say, like FanDuel is pretty good. So they have a lot more positional, flexible guys. So you can play Betts, Edmund, Cronenworth as second that you can't on DK, and also Semien is cheap there, so it's a little easier on FanDuel. On DK, like it's just I mean, Simeon's my favorite play, but 49. I'm not going to have any Marte at that price. Bryson Stott, assuming I can't quite get Simeon, Bryson Stott is my favorite play at 4K. Totally fine with Jimenez. And that's second base.
Okay. How about third base, Cheese?
It's a little better. I definitely prefer Jose Ramirez over Devers as a spend up. And then I think Josh Young, at least on DK, is the chalk because he's like $2,000 cheaper than those guys. And I like Manny Machado and Mark Vientos a lot. I can name more names, but like that's a very strong group that we don't have at other positions. So I'm going to stop there and say I'm trying to play from that group.
Okay. Carty, we finally got some plays here. Who are your favorites?
Yeah, this is a position where you actually like some of the guys at the top, Ramirez and Devers, and Young is not too far behind them and is a lot cheaper. So like he's clearly your cash guy. He'll be super high owned.
To be clear, we have two Youngs at the top. The top two projected ownerships are Josh and Jace. Who are you referring to?
Josh.
Okay.
Then there's plenty of other stuff you can do. You know, if you need to save money, Caminaro's hitting third for Tampa Bay for 4-1. You have Dylan Moore. You have Rendon in a decent spot. But really, I'm kind of with Cheese where like this is a spot where it probably makes more sense to spend up.
Okay. How about shortstop, Carty?
Similar, where the high-end guys like I do actually like tonight. Bobby Witt is probably my favorite, although he is extremely expensive. He's 6'6" even on FanDuel, which will probably keep his ownership down a little bit. So in tournaments, like definitely have a little bit of Bobby Witt. You have Lindor in a good spot, Henderson, Trey Turner, even Ellie's in a pretty good spot tonight. I don't mind dipping down to the next tier. Tommy Edman, like the Dodgers are great tonight, but they're kind of expensive. Tommy Edman's one of the guys that's kind of affordable. So I like Edman. I think Rafaela around the same price range in the Boston lineup is a way to get some Boston that's not super expensive. I'm going to end there because I think you're either playing a high-end guy or someone like that.
Okay. Cheese, any other thoughts at short?
I mean, basically, the expensive guys are the best guys, like always, but they're not as good as they usually are. Like usually if I'm going to pay 66 for Witt, like I want him to be in a matchup that I like. It doesn't matter what matchup Bobby Witt has, and just because he's great. I slightly prefer Gunnar ahead of him if I'm going to spend up. And like, yeah, I'm thrilled with Lindor or like a 2% owned Ellie De La Cruz. Like it's all fine. But similarly, like I'm fine settling on like Tommy Edman. Because the difference is if you play Bobby Witt, you might have to play Mitch Spence instead of being able to play, Michael King and just go cheaper at shortstop. So I do lean towards pitcher over expensive shortstop if that's the choice.
Okay, good note. How about the outfield?
Kind of similar to shortstop. I guess I like the outfield spend ups a little more. Alvarez and Tatis are my favorites, followed by Betts and Teoscar. But all the usual suspects are just play them any day for any reason. But that's my favorite little group. The Astros get Kyle Tucker back, which helps them in real life and DFS. I think you can play him, but he's not like a standout. Like I prefer Tatis for a couple bucks cheaper. Back to the sort of weird-ish Texas sort of chalk. Like chalk isn't really the word. It's not like they're 50% owned, but Wyatt Langford and Adolis Garcia are very nicely priced in a good matchup, and I'm playing plenty of them. I like the Padres. Merrill is probably my favorite, followed by Profar, after Tatis, of course. So I've got some full San Diego outfields. Another part of the reason Texas is chalk is kind of like you've got Justin Foscue at first. You've got Fabian, who honestly I didn't know about, but he looks kind of legit-ish. And I'm playing him.
Okay.
Minimum salary. Yeah.
Sure.
Do it.
All right, Carty. You playing a min salary dude named Fabian?
I mean, you can. He's 2K. He's fine. Wyatt Langford in that lineup, I think, is my favorite outfielder tonight. I like the high-end guys, but especially if you're trying to pay up on pitching, like I think there are other positions where I would prioritize spending up, like third base, maybe shortstop. And there's a lot of good mid-tier guys tonight. You do have, on the high end, Teoscar, Jordan Alvarez. Like I like all these guys, but Julio Rodriguez and the other Seattle guys I think are pretty good tonight. Victor Robles in particular on DraftKings is good for his price. Mickey Moniak is a really nice value. Lane Thomas on FanDuel, even though he hasn't been great in Cleveland, it's a good enough spot and he's cheap enough where I'm totally fine playing him. Yeah, that's more or less what I'm looking at.
Okay. Guys, the people want some home run calls. In fact, they're already clamoring for them. Someone said, Carty, you got any home run calls? See, they're clamoring for it. So I'm going to let you think on that. And in the meantime, we're going to pay the bills here. RG Premium, it's ongoing. NFL Premium is available, which makes sense since NFL has already started. Non-premium users can get $100 off their NFL Premium subscription. All you have to do is click through the banner on RotoGrinders. $469.99 for a 6-month combo subscription that gets you all the sports, everything you could ask for. Saves you $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months. Or you can get 1 month of RG Combo Premium for $120. If you just want to test run, dip your toes in the water, 3-day pass, $19.99. And that will take you all the way through a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, it's a good time. It's a good time for a little 3-day pass, just saying. With that, let's do some bomb calls. Carty, what do you got for us?
Top guy tonight is Alvarez. In terms of something a little more off the board, Yansky yeah, I always butcher his name. Kenzie Noel is actually, he's projecting very well tonight. So I think he's a guy that will probably be a little bit overlooked, but has a really good chance of hitting a homer. On the betting side, top option is that can't be right.
Wait, no, I've got to know.
We agree.
Yeah, we need to know.
No, it's my screen that has the odds for it. It says, okay, yeah, no, that's not that's not correct.
Alvarez at plus 3,000 is
yeah,
play of the
that
day.
can't be right.
Cedric Mullins plus 1,000 looks pretty solid. I think that's the top option tonight.
Okay, Cheese, you got a few names for me?
Sure. High end, we'll go Gunnar Henderson. Mid-tier, Wyatt Langford. And a cheap home run for Justin Foscue.
Ooh, nice. Okay, I'm on board with Wyatt Langford. He's hitting a bomb. That is also my pick. Thomas says, hey, any Brazil weather news? Yeah, football game in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The answer is no. I think it should be quiet. But it's worth noting that as soon as we leave the United States, each and every one of you is as good as weather as I am, because I'm just going to weather.com. I don't have all these fancy forecast models like I do for anything in the United States. So I don't know. Weather.com says it's good. Hopefully it's right this time. Man, just a little secret for you guys. If we're forecasting out of the country, you know as much as I do. Let's dive into some QQs. Cheese, can we use 2 10K plus pitchers on DK tonight? It's not really the way your builds were trending.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've got 1 or 2 of those builds. You absolutely can. There are enough cheap bats. Like I've got a couple. Yeah, I mean, I would never tell you not to play a Scuball Wheeler combo. Like if you can make it work, it's fantastic. So yeah. Sure.
Okay. Cheese, I'm coming right back to you. FanDuel GPP. Who is more contrarian, Orioles or Boston? Well, Boston's the chalk. Boston's chalky, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be pretty similar. But yes, I think the Orioles are a little more contrarian.
Okay. Let's see. Cardi J says, hey, sorry if I missed it. FanDuel single entry or favorite stack, pretty please.
I mean, the problem is I don't really have like a favorite tonight. Like there's a bunch of them that are kind of all good.
Yeah, but which one wins?
Give me the Dodgers. On FanDuel, the Dodgers are attainable enough, and they're probably the best and not super owned. And give me the Dodgers.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, this is good. Dean telling us that it is better to call Jokenski Noel Big Christmas, which I don't know.
I hit the heart in chat multiple times for that.
If
Dean just made that up, like that's the greatest thing ever. Even if he didn't, that's the greatest thing ever.
Just a phenomenal nickname. I Googled him. He is a large man. His last name is Noel. It's a 10 out of 10. He is Big Christmas from now on, without a doubt.
That's what I'm calling him.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see. FanDuel Cash Cardi 2,600 in the util. What do you got?
I gotta pull up salaries. Hold on. 2,600 in the util. I'm gonna need a second if you want to ask the next question.
Sure. All right. Cheese, is Ty France playable?
I mean, playable, sure. I have 0. But anything's playable on this slate, really.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm having trouble finding a single guy for under 2,600 that projects well. There's a bunch of 27.
What about the guy that was dirt cheap that was free on DK in the outfield? It was 2K.
Those kind of guys aren't always super viable.
What do you think about
Andrew Benintendi projects as like the 60th best guy today for 2.6K. Boom.
Benintendi, Cheese, what was your thought?
I was going to say, does the bat like Cody Clemens at all?
A little bit. He was, I think, more on DraftKings than FanDuel, but yeah, he seemed okay.
Yeah. Okay. What else do we have? Cardi, coming right back to you. Anyone know the elevation in the Brazil game? I will check that. In my head, it was not a high elevation, but I need to check. Cardi, do you know off the top of your head?
I don't think elevation matters as much for football as it does for baseball.
Someone is galaxy braining putting a kicker in the captain spot if the elevation is high enough to make
it's not crazy.
I promise you that's what's happening.
It's not crazy, Cheese. You can get like a 70
I didn't say it was crazy. I'm just telling you that's what's happening here.
I like it. I will Google that in the meantime. 2,400 feet. So that is slightly less than half of Denver elevation, essentially. All right. Okay. What do we got? Eric says, Cheese, your thoughts on White Sox stacks and Davis Martin as my SP2 on DK. I can never tell if he's serious with his questions because he just always picks the worst thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's his thing. Like, play the worst play on the play. And once or twice a year, you're going to be right. But always the answer is no.
Yeah. Okay. D-Rock says, Cheese, in the Discord, by the way. P.S. If you're watching on YouTube, hit us with the thumbs up. I don't beg. I don't grovel. I just let you know. Keeping this show free is dependent on getting the eyeballs. So thumbs up gets the eyeballs. Hopefully we can keep the show free for you. Luke H says, D-Rock Cheese, DK GPP, Tatis Robles or Merrill Langford?
I like both sides pretty well. I lean slightly Merrill Langford.
Okay. Cheese, right back to you. DK GPP, do most of your lineups have both pitchers over 8K?
They do.
Okay. Cardi, FanDuel cash question 2v2. Tyler O'Neill and Josh Young or Garcia and Machado?
O'Neill and Young probably for me.
Okay. Cardi, right back to you from Garfield. DK GPP, Fraley, Cruz, or Betts Freeman?
Fraley, Cruz, Betts, Freeman. Betts Freeman.
Okay.
And by the way, if that's the real Garfield, a big fan.
No, I don't think so because his actual name is Garfield I Trust. So he's someone who trusts Garfield.
Okay. Same.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. He's got good take on food. I'll tell you that.
Are we talking the cat or the president?
The cat for sure.
Okay, definitely. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Good question, but definitely the cat. New Generation says, Cheese, Nicky Lopez and Teoscar or McNeil and Noel?
McNeil and who?
Noel, Big Christmas.
Nope.
Excuse me,
Thank
Big
you.
Christmas.
Roth,
Yeah.
get on board.
My bad.
I mean, I would. The thing is, like, as much as I don't really want to play Nicky Lopez, like, there's nothing great about Jeff McNeil either. So I think you just play for the other spot and then just go with the Teoscar side.
Okay. Garfield says Garfield is my real name. That first off, I think that's awesome.
Well,
Second,
that's Garfield's real name too. Like, that doesn't mean that this isn't Garfield that we're talking to.
That's
Garfield's
That's
real
true.
name is Garfield.
I want to know if he gets annoyed by having the name Garfield or if he loves it. And probably 10 years from now, no one will know who the hell Garfield is.
That's the thing. It's just going to be a bunch of old people like me being like, hey, Garfield.
Right.
He's like, I hate you.
Yeah.
I want to know how
Ask him if he likes lasagna.
Yeah. Steve just came on just to say lasagna. That's
one of the great producer appearances of all time.
good contribution, Steve.
I hope he likes lasagna.
Oh, we didn't.
I don't know if that got cut off. I said ask him if he likes lasagna.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we got you.
We just heard lasagna. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Scrolling up in the old YouTube. Tiger Stack? Anybody? Tiger Stack? Carty? Tiger Stack?
Play whoever you want, but
Play whoever you want.
I mean, there's a number of teams I'd probably take before the Tigers.
Okay. Eric pointing out the Brazil flag colors are green and gold, like the Packers. And then who are they playing?
The
Eagles.
Green Eagles.
The Green Eagles. And correct me if I'm wrong, there was some memo about not wearing green if you're attending.
I heard about this.
Because it's like, did you hear this, Cheese?
It's like gang colors or something.
Oh man, hilarious. It's not, but it is. Let's see. Cheese, who homers, Mookie or Will Smith? Actually, Carty, I'm giving that to you. Who homers, Mookie or Will Smith?
Will Smith.
Okay. Cheese, Met stack in a FanDuel GPP?
I do like the Mets, yeah.
Okay. Razzle Dazzle says, Cheese, favorite FanDuel single entry play, 3-3 or less. FanDuel single entry, 3-3 or less.
That gives you a lot more options than the old $2,600 question. If you want to be a little off the board, I mean, it's not off the board, but a little off the board, I would go with Cal Raleigh or Matt Olson.
Okay. MT Red Sox says, Carty, what are your thoughts on going Guardians, Dodgers, stacking them both? Some would call it a game stack. Cheese would not.
I mean, technically it's a game stack. You're not doing it because it's a game stack, but I think
different term
on
for
their
it, you
own
know?
merits, they're fine. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay, that's well answered. What else do we have? Here we go. Lord King Guru, great YouTube name. Lord King Guru says, Carty, the Detroit stack, okay with the lefties with Veerling. Oklahoma bullpen sucks against left-handed hitting. That was not a question. That was just a
Did you
comment.
just call them the Oklahoma bullpen?
Did I?
You did.
But it's the Oklahoma bullpen definitely sucks.
I mean, they're probably real bad.
Yeah, I was just trying to like parse through the question, and yeah. All right, we'll move on. It was just a comment.
Does Oklahoma have a single pro sports team? Oh, they do. Basketball.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, they got the Thunder.
All right.
Yeah, but that's it. Have you heard that the tallest building in the world they're planning on putting in Oklahoma City?
I heard that. Is that true? Or is that just something someone said once for a joke and someone ran with it?
I think it is, at least like the idea of it is true. Whether or not they will get the funding to do so, I don't know.
Because it seems like I heard that like a decade ago, and I haven't seen the building. I've looked for it.
It's also literally right in the middle of Tornado Alley, and it seems like a giant skyscraper getting plowed by an EF5 would not end well for anyone. I don't know. We need to Google if that's still happening or not. Let's see. We've got about 5 minutes until lock. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. Well, hey, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. If you've got any questions, get them in. They can be about, we're opening it up, baseball, football, dinner, or giant buildings. Those can be, but Eric, not your question. Other questions about giant buildings. we can most certainly take. So bring them on in. Otherwise, we're going to sit here awkwardly for 5 minutes. I want lasagna now, Cheese.
I mean, have some. I don't know. So I'm not stopping you.
Well, I was going to do pizza, so we were thinking about Italian, and now we can just make a little easy pivot to a little lasagna.
So the first thing I get, so someone in chat put Legends Tower. So that's the name of the thing they're trying to build. The first, I Google Legends Tower. The first thing that comes up is the skyscraper, if built, will be the tallest in the United States. I don't think this thing is going to happen. Just
no,
from everything I've heard, which is very little.
I'm with you.
They can do anything they set their mind to. All right.
Yeah.
You gotta have some faith.
I don't
believe
know.
in the Oklahomans.
Yeah.
Not their bullpen, but the builders.
I think money maybe in it. We've been trying to build a high-speed rail from Dallas to Houston for 20 years. It's just been talked about, and it's in the plan. 20 years and nothing. And I feel like this may be what's happening.
This all seems as real as me and Keith talking about building indoor tunnels in Phoenix from building to building, so you don't have to go outside in the summer.
Yeah, it should be a thing. Let's see. Do we like Jordan Love captain with 3 pass catchers? Carty, do you like Jordan Love captain with 3 pass catchers?
I think that's probably fine. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Is the original Twister movie worth watching from Aaron? I think definitely. Yeah. That was a yes, right, Carty?
Yeah.
Definitely.
3 for 3 from the panel.
Yeah, that's a yes. It's worth watching. And the chat is in agreement as well. Yeah, it's way better than the recent one.
Did you see the recent one? I mean, that's a dumb question. You definitely saw the most recent one, but
yeah, I saw it like opening night. I was there like, woo! I love
did you do the 4D theater where like the seat moves and you get wind blown at you and everything?
I did. I wanted to bring my wife to that. I know. I wanted to bring my wife to that one.
Did you have that? Like,
do we have it?
Is that a real thing?
That's a real thing. Yeah.
It's a real
Do you
thing.
have it near you? Like, could you have gone to that? Because I don't have that as an option near me.
Yeah. It is a real option, but I wanted to see it first, just like, and experience the movie. And then if I liked it, I was going to go do it and like get my brain rattled by the tornado. But then I didn't really love the movie. So I'm out. What else do we have here? We're doing pretty good. Here we go. Cheese, favorite NFL dart on a FanDuel GPP single game. So I suppose this is tonight. You didn't look at NFL.
I know who's playing. I know I know a name of one of the people that I think is a good play.
Let's hear it.
Watson, Christian Watson.
Okay, I like that.
I'm not wrong. That's a great dart. I've heard of him. He plays for the Packers, right?
He
Probably
for the Packers.
You're asking the wrong guy, man. I just do weather. Let's see. Rob says the new one was way better. I'm crushed. Roth didn't like it. There was no depth to it. It was as expected. It was as if I wrote the movie or like ChatGTP wrote the movie. There was nothing clever.
Like what you just said might have actually happened.
Yeah. There was just nothing clever, nothing surprising. It was fine. It was entertaining. The main actor was awesome, but it wasn't like good. All right. Let's see. The amazing tool weather. Oh, great. Blink-182 just crushing me. The amazing tool Weather Edge has loved San Diego for hitting the last 2 games, but it wasn't overly good. Is tonight the night the Padres stat goes off? Here's the deal. If the sample size is 300 games, that means in those 300 games, it has been good. It could still mean these next 2 games could be shit. Like that's still, you still do need to hit the ball. But in general, if you do, it'll work out pretty well. Could tonight the Padres stat go off, Cheese?
Well, yeah, they're facing a far worse pitcher tonight.
Yeah.
Like it has way more to do with that. Like that's going to help a lot. The weather, if the weather is the same, you're going to do better against a worse pitcher.
Yeah. By the way, Blink says, I'm not killing you. I love it. It's the best thing out there. He was just, that's cool. I got defensive. That's my bad. Can I play Pavetta and Mania in DK Cash, Carty?
I wouldn't.
Okay. FanDuel single entry last piece, Carty, Cronenworth or Bogarts?
Cronenworth.
Gregorius says, does anyone like eggplant parm? I just can never get myself to order it because I could have chicken parm or veal parm. And I don't know. My answer is no. Cheese?
I've never eaten it, and I promise you I never will.
Carty, have you ever ordered, and do you have thoughts on eggplant parm?
I mean, if I were served it, I would eat it and I would enjoy it. But similar to you, I just go for chicken parm first.
If I were served it, I would mail it to Carty.
It can't be that bad. I'm sure it's great. Shout out to our vegan friends out there like Devin who would love it. Hey, we hit the lock. We've got a couple more questions. Let's knock them out and bounce. Jose says, Cheese, Ohtani or Langford home run? Those are different levels of dudes.
Yeah, I mean, always Ohtani, right? But like for DFS purposes, with salary factored in, I'm playing more Langford tonight. But I mean, Shohei Ohtani is better than Wyatt Langford. I don't know who needs to hear that.
Yeah, not me. Michael says, Carty, Devontae Smith or Chris Godwin?
Is this like a season-long thing, maybe? I'd probably take Godwin, though.
Does Chris Godwin still play for Tampa?
He does. Actually, I'm really high on Godwin this year. I think he's going to be very good this year, I think.
He's taken over Mike Evans as the dude?
No, not necessarily, but they're kind of like co-dudes, and the offense should be pretty good, and he's moving back to the slot this year, and I think Godwin's going to be good.
I like it. All right.
That's going to be the title of their documentary for sure.
Yeah, co-dudes. Mab, stuffed pepperoni roll with pizza sauce, anyone? Yeah, sure. Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. I'm down with that. Phillies, are the Phillies a good play with Kitchen starting? Cheese?
Yeah, like I said, like I don't think they're any better of a play than they were with Cabrera starting. I mean, but it's a Miami bullpen game, and Miami's not a good bullpen. The Phillies are good, so I mean, yeah, they're a good play.
Okay, good stuff. I think we are going to bounce on out of here. I need to order some pizza and certainly some lasagna. So we're going to clear out and maybe some eggplant parm, but probably not. For Cheese and for Carty and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been